it's nice to have someone to talk about this stuff because I don't really have anyone in my life to talk about it. Just feels fucking pointless, you know? Um, I didn't really get a honeymoon phase or anything like that, but it just kind of went right into the shadow dark night, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like it's lightening up and it's kind of more subtle resistance patterns in the body. Kind of things like they shouldn't say that or people shouldn't be like that, kind of those kind of things where it's like, oh, you can feel it. I can feel it in my body. But I was wondering, because it feels like I've this has been happening for a year and a half, and the body's just been really activated, and there's energy always kind of moving, and there's pain and tension and like constantly. Was that is that familiar to you, or
Yeah,
this?
pain,
Yeah,
intention.
yeah.
Yeah, like
Just
aches.
like continuously, all the time.
What do you mean pain? Like physical pain or emotional?
Well, I think it surfaces as physical. Well, yeah, emotional, yeah, but like I'm talking about the physical, like the somatic tension and pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it felt like there was different parts of the body that was in pain.
Hmm.
I think it's going to depend on, and this is, you can't really know it mentally, but like what was really contracted in that lifetime. So for here, it was really painful here most of the time. Later on, it went to the back area, just very sore. Um, yeah, different things like that. It would kind of shift to different body parts.
Yeah.
And it was almost like it was, I guess, thawing out.
Yeah, like a lot of mine has been like burning, like a burning sensation in my chest, and like tensions will bubble up from the gut and kind of burn away. And the mind's interpretation of that is like releasing lies and emotional trauma and conditioning. Um, I don't know if that's true, but that's how it feels. Like sometimes I'll know exactly what it is. Like it will be like, oh, the lie of like we're not innocent, or whatever conditioning that it seems like there's something specific to the sensation, almost like it's showing me a lie and it's releasing from my body, and then it seems to just that lie seems to just clear away, and I don't believe it anymore. But it seems very like, I mean, I feel it in my teeth and my bones and my face, and it feels like these layers of energy that move, and it's weird.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
So I noticed like the thought of like, is this ever gonna stop?
Yeah, I know.
Like, is this just gonna keep going?
Mm.
um, I can't know that, but it just feels like okay. Um, and I just feel fear, and my body just wants to rest. I can feel it, and there's just this kind of like sadness that's just like I just want to be still, because it feels like inside it's like this. It's like always trying to like grasp or know something, you know, and I just can't, I don't have a position anywhere. I can't take a stance about anything. And that feeling of like reaching for a stance is really it's painful. It's like really uncomfortable.
Yeah. You feel it now?
Um, oh yeah, I mean it's always there. Yeah,
Where?
there's some burning and there's some kind of like doership in my arms. It feels like a needing to do something, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but I just feel it and just build tolerance to it, I guess. I don't know. Just kind of like allowing that to be there and just relaxing into it. But sometimes I can't do that.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So right now let's allow the body to just be as it is. Just take your time. Don't worry about anything else. Just simply noticing whatever's arising in the body. And you're so strong for going through all of this. You're doing amazing.
I think there was some sadness there. I don't even know what it is actually. I don't know if it's sadness. I don't know what it is, but the body wanted to cry and feel something.
Yeah.
Um, I had this experience yesterday. I was actually like at a Catholic grounds and I was looking at Jesus on the cross. And I had this very kind of intense emotional grief experience where I just started bawling. And and I kind of got like downloads of information. Did that ever happen to you where you just kind of like got downloads of information about the human condition and did that ever happen to you? Yeah. Okay.
Things
I
become
was
more
like,
clear.
yeah. I mean, it didn't stick, but I was like, oh, like ignorance is actually like it comes from fear and it's this I don't know, this is what the information was like. Ignorance is actually trying to know. It's like overlaying concepts onto myself and the world, and that myself and the world are actually concepts. And without the concepts, it's just happening and we don't actually know what it is. And so being like little children, like Jesus talks about, like be like little children, he's talking about unknowing, uh, or not knowing, allowing yourself to not know with wonder instead of fear. So I thought that was interesting. I
Yeah.
don't really have a connection to Jesus, but like apparently I do. I don't know. So that's something that happens then.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
beautiful.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, this is really weird.
Once it kind of clears out from your body, yeah, things just become a lot more obvious. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
and yeah, I don't know if this is like the original, um, I don't know how misinterpreted the Bible has become over time. It probably has been. But like when they say original sin, It's not a sin. It's innocence. It's absolute innocence. And yeah, it arises on its own. Life is just creating this sense of here-ness that feels insecure and separate from the whole. And then it wants to know to feel safe.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely innocent. And then when the person misinterprets that and reads original sense of separation or sin, it feels like it's wrong, like I'm wrong. I've
Hmm.
been cast out of heaven, but you didn't do anything. No one did anything. This is just life appearing this way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of the understanding that I got was like the story about eating the apple from the tree of knowledge is kind of a representation of that, where we're innocent and we are afraid, and then we try to know things, and we start to create stories about what's happening so that we can not feel the fear.
Exactly.
Which was kind of like, I was like, oh, that totally makes sense.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels kind of nice, because there was something like separation almost feels like, what did I do? You know, like feeling disconnected from life is like, what's wrong with me? What did I do? Like, why do I feel this way? And it's really painful.
I know. Yeah.
And and that's just a word, but it's just like, it's just really intense. Like, it'll knock you to your knees. Like, when you lose the ability to suppress, like I don't have the ability to suppress anymore. So it's just like so direct, and I don't actually know what I'm feeling, but it feels so, I don't know,
Yeah,
painful.
I know. I constantly there were thoughts of like, why is this happening to me? Like, why do I have to feel all of this? And I felt like I was just brought to my knees over and over. And then there was kind of in a way of getting used to it, like, okay, another round.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not easy. It's not something you're familiar with, you're used to. This is a whole different ball game, you know?
Yeah. And there's no stopping it. So it's not, it is what it is, just happening.
Mm,
And there isn't anyone who can make it stop, or started it. I don't know why that makes sense, but it does. I don't, it's just really odd,
yeah, it's very odd.
disconcerting.
Yeah.
And yet I'm still a contracted self moving in the world, going between these two worlds, and like, it's bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah. You could see the absolute contradiction, and it's so apparent.
Yeah.
And yet it just is what it is, and life goes on.
Anyway, okay, so I'm not a freak.
You're not crazy at all. No.
Okay. Well, it's nice to be able to say these things. I
Yeah.
think it's very helpful for the person,
Yeah.
for that energetic fear and contraction. It kind of lessens that fear, I guess.
Hmm.
Like, I'm alone, but I'm not alone. Like, because sometimes it feels really alone.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Lily. That was beautiful.
Hi,
Hi,
how you
Tanya.
doing?
to see
That
you.
was beautiful. Good to see you too. That was beautiful shares this morning. I have more of like a story to share, and it's going to sound really petty to probably most people, but it was a huge, it ended up being something really huge energetically for me. And I just thought it's wanting to be shared. And I'd just love to hear what your thoughts about it too. You know, I was
It's not.
relating with, well, I was relating so much with Ben last week and his frustration, because when I first heard this message, I mean, immediately, like it's just every aspect of me fell away, everything that I loved, that I thought about myself and just went really away. And it's been a long time. And we kind of talked about this in my one-on-one. And then when I first started with you on here, a lot of stuff was stirred up and a lot of things happened. And then it just went, blank. And I've been, working on my trauma and, feeling frustrated with it because that's just what the me does, I guess. But it occurred to me recently, and it might have been the trauma work that I should probably I've been counting macros, my calories, every bit of food I eat. I measure, I scale it out, I plan my food. It's all a part of like my muscle building. It's all innocent, right? And it seemed very innocent. And then the thought came, we should stop counting macros. And the fear and the just my whole body was like, no, like I couldn't even believe that something so petty would incite such fear in me. And it really kind of was hitting on like that I really have control issues. And so it took a couple of weeks for my body and my mind to actually accept that this was going to happen because it was going to happen. It wasn't like my mind thought of it. It was just that's just where the energy was moving. And so a couple of weeks went by, and I, was preparing for it, and I stopped. I stopped recording my food. I stopped counting calories. I stopped planning my meals, and I just kind of just ate like a normal person. And then my inner child came out, and it's like, woohoo, yeah, let's get some pancakes. It's doing all this. It was such a crazy experience, but it was like the fear leading up to it was so crazy. It was something so minor. I would have never thought in a million years that this activity was tying me to so much of my trauma, of time, of who knows. It's still unraveling. It's still really, I'm still getting through it every day. I'm counting in my head. It's all the fear still there. It's just stirring up so much, and it's been crazy. It's been awesome. It's been beautiful, but it's just amazing to me that something that I thought was so innocent that I would never have said, in my own mind, like, oh yeah, this needs to go. It just came up organically, and it was so natural, like another thing falling away, but it was such a huge brick in the wall. And yeah, I just thought that would be a nice share because maybe other people are engaging in things that they would have never thought was keeping like something together energetically. And I'm scared of shit, like I'm gaining weight, it's hitting all of the stuff, and it's perfect. It's like this is what needed to happen. And yeah, it's a ride still, but I just wanted to share that and hear your thoughts on it because of our time together last. And
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful because
yeah,
I do think that when something traumatic or fearful happens, yeah, there could be a lot of attack on the body and need to control it, need it to appear a certain way in order to gain a semblance of control, but it's not really.
yeah, it's the false illusion that I'm still in control. And also just I feel this sense of like my body is not my body, but the body wants to be a certain way for its health, for how it functions, and just letting that go is almost just like letting my body just be how it should be, how it needs to be to function, to be healthy. And I needed it to be this way because of all the damage and trauma and all the projection of my self-esteem and everything. But now just it's the body just feels more, I don't know how to say it, just feels more free. it's the mind that's having to accept the way it looks, but the body feels good. It feels like, ah, now I can just be what I need to be, you know? And it's beautiful, but I think the energetic effects are definitely gonna just happen over time. But it was so innocent, and I just did never saw that. Like, and I just wonder what else is underneath too happening that is that will fall away too. But yeah, it's been quite the experience.
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's
And you look
exciting.
gorgeous as always.
Thank you,
Your
Suzanne.
weight does not determine anything.
So crazy.
It
It's so
never gave
crazy.
you more or less value.
I know.
Just
I know.
these objects just fluctuate. What you gonna do?
Hmm. Yeah, and it's almost like I was saying, it feels more, I feel more healthy now, just, you know, not allowing, but just feeling the body go towards what it needs. So if that's working out, if that's walking, if that's eating pancakes with chocolate chips, and that's what happens. So I
Yeah,
just wanted to share it.
nice.
My God.
And you see that it does it on its own. It might take some time to get used to this new way of functioning, like without
Yeah.
um a set way of being. You'll see like when the impulse arises, exercise just happens and eating just happens and it's quite simple. But when there's been so much momentum and planning going on around it, that habit of doing it that way, mentally and energetically, it just takes some time to
Hmm.
just be
Dissipate.
observed. Yeah.
Yeah. And be observed too, because it is interesting. You can, I'm getting so much out of just watching the thoughts, you know, around the behaviors and like the fear. It's all still coming up in different ways, but when it first happened, it was just wow, it was crazy. It was almost like when I first heard the message, it was just like, no, that cannot happen. And it was just amazing. So yeah, so that's been my energetic ride lately.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really wanted to share. So
That's huge.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for holding this space for me to be able to share that. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Tanya. That was beautiful.